Wickedly Easy Quilts, and this is a free download from byannie.com, and there's a link in the description below the video. It comes in 4 different sizes, and it's all made with fat quarters. Here's the first page, and the first page just tells you how the blocks are laid out, and it was a little bit confusing when I first started looking at this, but if you look at how it's numbered here, this is part A, cut pieces for blocks, borders, and binding. And then it has 3 little boxes. So if you just go each box at a time, then everything will be fine. Start at A and check off all the boxes. Then next you go to B. And this is how we're going to subcut the fat quarters, and these are the quilt layouts, and this on the last page of the number of fat quarters you need, binding, batting, and backing. So let's go back to the first page. You're going to use fat quarters, and I made the twin size quilt, which is 68 by 84. This is a fat quarter. This is 18 inches, 21 inches. And you're going to make these cuts. And I stacked about, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 layers of fat quarters. And what I did was the straight edge I put on one side, because if you put the straight edge and then the selvage edge on either side, you might not, some of your fat quarters are going to be longer than others, and these are going to get you really close. You're not going to have much waste. So if you cut it wrong, then you've wasted your whole fat quarter and maybe even your whole stack of fat quarters, or most of it. So here you're going to cut 3 at 4.5 inches and 3 at 2.5 inches. Then you're going to leave these the same length, and this last one you're going to cut shorter. And it tells you, I think you cut it 16.5 inches. Then you're going to make a strip. After you cut all these out, you're going to separate the stacks, mix them up, and you're going to sew a 4.5, a 2.5, 4.5, 2.5, and 4.5. Now this says to press your fabric all in one direction, but I pressed my seams open, and it didn't seem to matter because you're not going to be matching any seams here. Here is what the piece looks like after you sew your 4.5, 2.5, 4.5, 2.5, 4.5 together. And I tried to start on the same end, because again, you don't, if you start at one end or the other, you might have not enough when you start cutting this off. If you have this piece sticking out here and maybe another piece sticking out way here, then your usable space is going to be smaller. So I tried to start all my sewing on one side. Now next you're going to subcut these, and then on page 3 it tells you to subcut it to 2 at 7.5 and 1 at 2.5. So you're going to cut this way. This is what you get with your 2 7.5 pieces. And the 2.5 piece you're going to save for the border. And I decided at the end not to put my border on, so I just left it, without a border. Now remember, when you cut up the fat quarter, you had this extra 2.5 inch piece that you cut down to 16.5 inches. You are going to take that piece and sew it in between these 2 pieces. And when you finish this is your block. So it's a pretty big block, and that's why it's so easy. You're just always using big chunks of fabric. And then you just put these blocks together, alternate them, vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal. And here's your finished block. I pressed all my seams open. So these are big blocks, and the twin size has 20 blocks. So that's why it's so wickedly easy. Thanks for watching.